Hello everyone and welcome to that FPL Show, Gameweek 25. I'm joined once again by Rod. How you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad, mate. I'm a bit battered and bruised from the other day, but I'm not too bad. How about yourself?
How come you're battered and bruised? Like, someone
I
being...
decided I went to a party with my mum and her friends, and I decided to bike home, and it took me over an hour, which should have taken me 10 minutes, and I fell off my bike multiple times, meaning I am physically battered and bruised.
Okay, I was wondering where you was going with that. I was like, emotionally scarred? I was not too sure, but yeah, I'm alright, mate. Not too bad. It was a bit of a weird one, this, because it's been like an entire game week, basically, within 3 days, but in midweek it was a bit of a weird one. But I really enjoyed it. Wish I could have watched, more of the games like live all the way through, but just didn't have that opportunity because of them all being on at similar times. But I really enjoyed it. A bit disappointed in my in United, but I mean we move. What did you think of Villa? All right.
It was one of those. I think we started a bit sluggish, then we grew into the game. An early goal from Dan James, who usually can't find the net for shit, but ended up scoring, was quite a nice goal. Then we equalised, and then I thought if we go in at halftime 3-1, I believe in our game management to see the game out. But conceding very late on in the first half, 3-2 going in, Leeds still had a chance, and I don't really think we switched it on at all second half. I thought Leeds were probably the better team second half, and probably deserved the goal. I just think a lot of individual errors, and it's annoying because there was some individual brilliance, but ultimately individual errors cost us the 3 points.
Yeah, I agree. And I was watching that Villa game. I had Jalen Ramsey on my bench in fantasy. It was an absolute nightmare. I had Edouard in, and he started on the bench, and I was like, do not bring him on. And then he came on. And then the same with Salah. I was like, do not bring Salah on, because Jalen Ramsey's had great game. He had some great results, but he's just on my bench. So what a waste. But anyway, in fantasy, I didn't have the best of weeks. Ended up on 57. I think that's kind of like an average score. Wasn't brilliant. I mean, you can see a lot of my players on ones and twos. I captain Cancelo. I thought Liverpool would win, but I wasn't sure if they would score that many goals. In the end, they scored two, both going to Jota, so I could probably captain them. But I just felt with Cancelo, I was pretty much guaranteed a clean sheet and maybe an assist. But overall, 57 points. How'd you get on, Rod?
Also, Captain Cancelo, I thought he was the best choice, and for me, I felt like Yotta's goals. I didn't really think he was in the game or involved that much at all, and it kind of he got the goals out of nothing. Which I mean, as a striker, that's what sometimes happens. So I think I was unlucky not to make that decision. But 58 points, like you said, it's about average. But it did give me a red arrow and quite a big one. I went down from 22k to 35.
Yeah.
So hoping this new game week I can try to pick up some rank and try and get into that top 25k consistently.
Yeah, and I saw that this week you made a new Twitter account, FPL Rod, and in the bio it's like top 25k. Gonna have to change that shit, mate.
I have, don't you worry about that this morning.
Yeah, but be sure to go check Rod out on there as well, guys. But yeah, I think what do you do? 2 points better than me, pretty similar. I think overall it could have gone a lot worse. Obviously, I think we both had around three players who kind of just banged for us and gave us that sort of points, but a lot of people just blanking and shit. So I don't think it's the worst game week. I think I wish I made different moves. I was really looking at Coutinho. I made the wildcard change last week with the midweek game week, and I was looking at Coutinho to bring in. I was looking at quite a few players. I was looking at Zaha as well. Obviously, Zaha was a missed penalty, but he did score that banger. I don't know, Rod. I'm kind of like a bit disappointed in myself, but at the same time, consistency is the key. And I think if you consistently hit 58 points, this is not a bad mark to be hitting. Anyway. League table, Rod. I think a lot has actually changed since the last time we spoke in all different areas of the table. So I want to start off by talking top four with you. I think we should start with the United game, really, Rod, just because of Harry Maguire. I feel like the man's kind of somehow gone into that club, got the captaincy, and he's just undroppable for some reason, and he's shocking. I don't think he's a shocking player in general. I think there's a lot of sides. I think he's a Premier League player. I just don't think he's a top-end Premier League player. And for United, the way we want to play now, he was just all over the shop. He turns like a school bus. He doesn't run very quick at all. He's very slow. He got absolutely melted by Weghorst, and I just feel like this United side is in a lot of trouble, Rod. I felt like we were in a good position, although we have, teams behind us had games in hand. I felt like we was in a position where we had good fixtures, go out there, try and get 15 points now over the next 5 games, and we threw it away already. I feel like the Varane goal, I see it being disallowed. I can understand that one. It's the other goal, the one where Pogba's touched their centre back or left back. I don't agree with that one being disallowed, but I think it is what it is. And at the end of the day, you got to go out there and put in a solid performance. And I think United are struggling to do that consistently.
And I don't think you're wrong there. I think with the team you have, you should be doing better. And touching on Maguire, I think he's a good centre back on his day, probably a bit better than average. But for me, I don't think he's United quality. And when he's not with it, he is quite poor. And him as your captain, he's meant to lead by example, take all responsibility. I don't think he's the one. And touching on that game midweek, it just wasn't convincing. And the amount of players you have with high quality, you would have thought that Burnley away, or we always know what to expect from Burnley, but you should go there and should be able to win convincingly as well. And I don't know. I think United are still in the top 4 race. I don't think they're out by any stretch. I mean, looking at the table now, they're 6th on 39 points with 1 game in hand on West Ham.
Yeah.
A point behind. So West Ham are obviously reachable. I mean, Arsenal have 2 games in hand with 1 point behind West Ham. So I just thought at the start of the year, I thought United would be clear of top 4 and fighting for the title. But it looks like they're fighting to get into the top 4 positions now. And I think this season, just try and secure that top 4. I don't think anything more. And obviously, new manager in the summer, new ideas. The season does feel for you like a bit of a write-off.
Yes, I agree completely. I think Ralph Rangnick said the other day, as a club, we would be happy with top 4. And he went, the board have told me they'd be happy with top 4. And at the end of the day, that's not acceptable. I think a club of this magnitude has just been floating around mediocrity for too long now. I feel okay with Rangnick coming in and going top 4 is acceptable because he took over a sinking ship, in my opinion. But the board to agree, I think the board is just terrible at this club. And just looking at the stats of the game, Rod, really, I remember in the first half, Burnley didn't even get a shot off. But by the end of the game, they had 9 with 3 on target and, resulting in a goal in the end. I thought Weghorst was brilliant, the way he turned Maguire.
Didn't we, last week? We were saying he's essential in FPL, and he just was watching him, I don't know, as a neutral, I just found it so funny.
Yeah, but for me, I don't know if he's essential because of his price. And for me, I feel in FPL, the striker position is actually probably the weakest one in terms of what you can get out of it and what players we actually have as an option up front at the moment in FPL. I don't think there's a goal scorer up there you go, oh yeah, he's going to bag this many goals. I think Kane used to be that guy. Same with Vardy, but obviously Vardy's been injured a lot of the season, and now Kane, he just doesn't look like the same player to me. He's dropping deep so often. But in terms of United, I thought we were really good in that first half. Second half, though, just absolute shocking. I really enjoyed the first half performance. I thought McTominay was good. I don't think he's a good 6, but for what he is, I think he played well. I think Pogba and Bruno showed why it's going to be better for United just to play with one holding midfielder, especially if we could bring one in the next transfer window. But yeah, just absolutely gutted, Rod. But I thought this was a terrible result, and it was. But Spurs really didn't capitalise on it on Wednesday. I thought this game was going to be, I was watching a bit of it. I was switching between the channels. I was watching the Villa game and this game kind of at the same time. Did you get to watch the highlights of the Spurs game, Rod?
I did. I watched them hungover yesterday on Match of the Day, and looking at the table again, they've got 3 games in hand on West Ham and are 4 points behind them. So, I mean, they're not in a bad position, but for me, it's always points on the table better than games in hand. I mean, it's just Spurs, isn't it? It's just Spurs. I swear, the mentality is just deep to the core where you just don't know what you're going to get from them. And okay, Southampton, definitely not an easy game. But conceding 3? I don't know. When Antonio Conte is quite firm on his defence, that's one of his stronger assets. But I don't know. It was just a bit of as a neutral, again, was a fantastic game, but weird result for Spurs.
Yeah, and in terms of fantasy, when I was picking my team, for some reason I took Broja out, and I've already made the change already just to take out Watkins and bring Broja back in, especially going up against United on the weekend. He's a player who I really like, and I think didn't know really anything about him. I hadn't really heard of him before the season started, but he's brilliant, man.
Looking at the stats as well, I didn't realise it was such domination. So, according to Live Score, Southampton have had 10 shots on target compared to Spurs' 3. They had 7 off compared to Spurs' 3, and then obviously 53% possession. So, looking at the stats, well-deserved result for Southampton, but obviously on Match of the Day, you only see the key moments and the highlights. So, fair play to Southampton.
Yeah, I thought Southampton played really well. I thought Spurs were doing sort of Spurs things on the attack. Obviously, they went 1-0 up with a Bednarek Kogan goal, but the Son goal was a typical Spurs with Kane dropping deep, pings it to Moro, fires it across for Son, and it was typical Spurs for me. But the 2 Southampton goals towards the end, Al-Yunusi and Che Adams, the amount of space that they gave Ward-Prowse, who's so deadly over the when putting a ball into the box. I was actually looking at him to bring into my fantasy team as well, because when we spoke about the game, I said I fancy a Ward-Prowse free kick or penalty in this one. But yeah, 2 assists. I thought it was amazing, and for me, I remember the one thing the commentator said. They said, looks like Conte's pulling his hair out, and someone said, well, it's a bit expensive to pull out that stuff. Just made me laugh a bit. But yeah, in terms of Tottenham, they need big change, and I don't know. It's a disappointing one for Spurs, but I mean, it is what it is. And I think the last game, talking about the top 4, was Wolves against Arsenal. And for me, I don't see Arsenal getting in the top 4 just because of their lack of a striker, and I think that it's clear that they are missing a striker. But in terms of this game, I thought they played well. I didn't think I'd have to look at the stats. I was kind of just hovering over this one as well. But like the stats say, I didn't think they were dominating the game by any means. But I thought they got their goal and they set up well defensively. They look very strong defensively. I think Wolves are definitely struggling when it comes to goals this season. I think Jimenez doesn't. I mean, he's a lot better than when he first came back, but he's not the striker he used to be. I think for Wolves as well, setting up with the back 5, I think it helps them a lot defensively, but I think they lack a bit of creativity. I think they dominate the midfield normally with Ruben Neves in there. I think he's one of the best centre mids in the Premier League, and for me, I'd really be shocked if he's still there next season. He's a player he oozes quality, and he should be in the Champions League side already.
Just like you touching on that goals aspect, and actually quite a shocking stat here. So Wolves are actually bottom 3 for goals. So bottom is Norwich 14, Burnley then 17, and then Wolves 19.
But they're second for goals conceded.
And that kind of illustrates just how good their defence is this year, if they're 8th in the table. So it clearly shows they're keeping a lot of clean sheets, and they get the occasional 1-0, 2-0, but they are really struggling to score goals.
Yeah, and it was really unlike Wolves, I think, anyway. Just the way they conceded the goal from the corner, it was a very scrappy one, to be fair. I felt Pardon?
A bit of a talking point in that game, which I'm sure we're about to get onto, is the Martinelli red card. I want to get your opinion on that.
Go on. What did you think of it then?
I think it was actually never ever said this. Phenomenal refereeing, to be completely honest.
All right, yeah.
I think in isolation, both of those fouls were yellow cards. So
So
I
what
don't
was
know
it? The obstructing of a throw in and the shoulder barge, wasn't it?
when on the attack, yeah. So he basically stopped the counter attack, and I don't know what the rules are, and if he can do that, he clearly can because he did it. But in isolation, both of those fouls are yellow cards. So I think very good referee, to be completely honest.
Yeah, it's kind of like FIFA, isn't it? When you give away a foul, but the ref plays advantage, so you're like, oh shit, he's already going to get yellow, so let me just run around with him and make a foul whenever I can, because the ref never gives 2 yellow cards straight away. But it showed that, you can do it, and I feel like I'm a bit on the edge of it, for it, to be honest. I think there's a bit of gamesmanship in it with Martinelli. I'm not sure if it was really worthy of both of them being a yellow card, but I'm not really bothered by it.
I thought it was just quite good refereeing, and it was actually nice to see.
Yeah, and I think it's a huge win for Arsenal. When you look at the table now, they move up to 5th. They've got a game in hand on United. They've got 2 games in hand on West Ham. I mean, they could be not too far behind Chelsea if they do manage to win both games in hand. Yeah, but for me, I was really surprised with Wolves. I thought this was a game that they probably would win, and they'd move closer to the top 4 spot. I think they're probably just about out of it now, the top 4 race, only on 34 points. Yeah, but I think it's probably between United, Arsenal and Spurs. The only reason I keep United up there is because of the amount of games they've got coming up which are winnable for them. But definitely, I don't think they're going to win them. But with the quality of their squad, they should do. For Tottenham as well, they're in there. They got games on hand. They go level with Spurs if they won their game in hand, and they'd be level on games as well. But for me, it's kind of who wants to take it. Whoever wants it the most is going to take this one. And I'm not sure either team actually has that consistency and that want to win. I saw Ruben Neves comments after the game. He said, I haven't seen Arsenal celebrate like that in like 10 years. He said that they were celebrating like they won the league, which I thought was a bit weird as well, the way Arsenal celebrated that win. But I mean, it is what it is. Moving on now, Rod, unless you've got something to add to that, I just want to talk about relegation.
Just for final point, I do think it's quite interesting how there are 4 teams in the mix for that final 4th spot, and I really couldn't say which way it's going to go, to be honest. If I did have to put money on it, I would say Man United, though.
Okay. Yeah, I think United are probably going to be favoured just because of the strength of their starting 11 compared to the other 2 on paper, but obviously the game's not played on paper, Rod. But let's talk about this relegation battle. So Burnley, they obviously picked up a point against United. I mean, in fairness, it's not a bad point, but their games coming up aren't exactly easy. They got Liverpool next, Rod.
Yeah, we always think. I look back at Salah's points, and he played Burnley earlier on in the year, and I think he struggled to score any points against him. And Liverpool do struggle against Burnley, so I wouldn't be surprised if Burnley managed to grind out another draw. But I don't know. I think Burnley, they've got 2 games in hand on Newcastle. Newcastle on 18, Burnley on 14. I don't know. It's a bit of a stretch, I feel, for Burnley to get out of this now. I think they needed to pick up at least 1 win in the last 3 games. So I don't know. But I like Weghorst and I like Cornet, so I guess anything's possible.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, Rod. I mean, Norwich as well, the other day, they got a pretty decent point. They got the goal in the first minute. I think it's the fastest Premier League goal this season, Pukki scoring. But Zaha scored a screamer in the 60th minute. He also went on then to miss the penalty where his leg just went from under him. I think for Norwich, they still lack a bit of quality at the other end of the pitch when it comes to creating chances and potentially taking them away as well, Rod.
Yeah. So I think Dean Smith has galvanised Norwich and he's turned them around and they've been able to get some good points. And for me, though, we're about to get onto it, I'm sure. I think the bottom 3 as it is now, I think that'll be the bottom 3 come come May or whenever the season ends, I think at the end of May. I just think with the business done in January, I think Newcastle are going to have enough to get out of it. And I haven't seen anything from Burnley or Watford to convince me that they're able to get out of this mess. So, yeah, I think the current three, which is there now, will be the current three come end of the season.
Let's talk about Newcastle, and I know you watched this game live. I watched the highlights mostly on this one. They was able to get an impressive 3-1 win against Everton in the end, Rod. I mean, thoughts on both teams?
Everton, they worry me. Going away to Newcastle is very difficult. I'm sure Villa are going to find out this weekend. But I don't know, Everton they just didn't look with it for me, and I think they probably will be safe, yeah, but flipping it, they're making a big job of it. And 3-1 Newcastle, I thought Newcastle deserved the win. I thought they were the better team. And looking at the stats, Newcastle 9 shots on target compared to 3, 4 off target. And obviously Everton had more possession. But they brought on Dele Alli quite early due to an injury, Everton, and he just did not convince me one bit. And I do worry for Everton. I think they'll be all right, but it's not really where they want to be down there. But I think Newcastle, they've got some great acquisitions. I thought Trippier was phenomenal midweek. I thought Matt Target put in a solid shift, and obviously they had Bruno come off the bench, and I think they're going to be all right. They've got, looking on paper, they've got a fairly decent squad compared to the other teams down there, so I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, Rod. I was impressed with Newcastle as well. I think St. Maximin, his ability to drive with the ball is something very special. Obviously, the game came to light around the 35th minute where there was a Lascelles own goal, and then followed by a Holgate own goal a minute later. For me, I was really disappointed with Everton. I think Dele Alli didn't show much. He did have a moment where he made a run, but the back heel just didn't come off for him. I think it's going to take time, Rod. Obviously, Ali hasn't played a lot of football. Same with Donny as well, who came on. I didn't see much of him. I think it's going to take time. I think for Everton now, it's just about, just getting enough points so you are safe this season. And then next season, give Frank Lampard the option in the market. If there's any players he likes to bring in, and I think they've got some sellable assets as well, Rod, who could bring in a lot of money. I think Everton will be okay, but I think out of all the teams, I think they are the ones who could be dragged into it. And for me, I still think Burnley have got a shot of getting out, man. I still think Norwich could get out. I'm really not sure. I know you think it's kind of done down there, but for me, I'm really not convinced just yet. And for me, Everton would be the team who'd be getting dragged into it. But I mean, Rod, bottom of the table, we talked about the top 4 race. Something which I thought was over a long time ago, Rod, was the top 4, the championship at the end, the Premier League. Do Liverpool still have a shout of, still winning this Premier League? They're 9 points off City, but they got a game in hand. So if they win that game in hand, they're 6 points off City. City have only lost 2 games all season, same as Liverpool. It is tight, isn't it?
It's a good race, and yeah, I think a few weeks ago I was pretty certain it was over, but Liverpool. So say they win that game in hand. Okay, that's they're 6 points off. They've still got to play City, which is huge. They play City on the 9th of April. I think that's game week 32. That's going to be a huge game, and then it's difficult because City just look relentless.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll probably, if I was a betting man, City do win the league, but as a neutral of both sides, I'd love for the race to go to the wire. And I think City can't afford to drop any more points, and Liverpool can't afford to drop any more points. So for Liverpool to stand a chance, I think they need to win all of their games. Because I can't see City dropping any points. They're going to get the 1-0s, the 2-0s, the 3-2s, because they're just good at grinding out results. But yeah, I just can't see City dropping any points.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Oh, fucking hell, my voice is gone now. Sorry, I got a bit of a cold. Yeah, I know Liverpool still got United to play. I honestly, do you know what it is? I don't think City have got the easiest fixtures either. Obviously, both teams in the Champions League, and I think they're both teams who can go pretty deep in it. City still have to play United, Villa, Newcastle, West Ham away. I don't think it's over in the slightest, Rod. Did you watch the Liverpool-Leicester match?
I did.
Were you impressed with Liverpool?
I thought they were dominant. I didn't think they created a great deal. I thought Diaz had a good debut, but obviously they've still got Mane, Salah to come. I think Yotta's probably better than Firmino. I think he offers more. Liverpool, they're probably the strongest they've been this year in terms of players injuries wise. They didn't convince me, but they did play some very nice football, and albeit Leicester were pretty poor. They didn't convince me, but do you know what I mean? The first goal, it came basically from a rebound where Van Dijk headed it, Schmeichel saved it, Jota was there, and then I'm trying to remember. The second was, decent finish, I guess.
Yeah,
he saved it.
I forgot he played the pass to Jota, but it was a good goal. Yeah, for me, I was impressed with Liverpool in this game. I thought they were dominant. I didn't think Leicester had I can't remember a great chance for Leicester in the entire game. I think Liverpool could have won 4-0 easily if Salah would have passed. He looked very eager to score a goal. I think Jota could have had a hat-trick as well. There's a couple of chances where he could have just slid it across to Jota. Would have been an easy goal. But for me, I was impressed with Liverpool. I was impressed with what's his name, Luis Diaz. I thought he looked really, just really keen to get into the game, and he wasn't afraid that on his debut. He looked like a player who definitely can offer something to this Liverpool side. Harvey Elliott came back in, obviously came back for the FA Cup last week. I think he's got something he can offer to the team as well. I don't think he's the greatest player, but I think as someone coming off the bench as an option, I think it's a good option for Liverpool.
I did think Salah looked possessed on that touchline. He wanted to come on like 50 minutes. He was warming up rather aggressively, so it clearly shows you he's right up for it, and he's going to fight to the wire to get this title with Liverpool after missing out narrowly in the AFCON. So it's an exciting time.
Yeah. I actually think I got a feeling now that Liverpool are going to come back into it, and it might go down to that Liverpool City game, which we was just talking about, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what the positions look like by then. If Liverpool can close that gap, I think I can't remember City having a bad run so far this year where they've dropped a couple points, and I feel like most teams normally do have 2 weeks where they might get a draw and a loss or something like that. I'm still interested in the title race. I don't think it's over yet, Rod. I was going to talk about the City-Brentford game, Rod, but I honestly can't remember too much about it. I just know City were pretty dominant in it. Yeah, 75% possession, 7 shots on target to Brentford's 2, 15 shots in total to Brentford's 6. Yeah, it was a Mahrez goal and then a De Bruyne goal, Rod. That's all I got to say. But it is what it is, really, for City, Rod. They're the most dominant team in the league, I'd say, at the moment. And I still don't know how and who to bring in from City into my fantasy team, because he changes the team around so much, Rod.
I think the only one you can really bank on is Cancelo. I think Cancelo's been a consistent performer all the way through the season. And apart from that, even when City score, you don't know who's going to score. This is why I've tried to stay away from Foden, Grealish, players like that. I can see people, the last couple of weeks, especially while Salah's been away, why people have gone for KDB, and he has returned in the last few weeks. But obviously now that Salah's back, you can't have all these upper echelon midfielders who cost a lot of money. So I could see KDB in the last few weeks, but probably go away from him now, and the only one really locked on for me is Cancelo.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, Rod. But all in all, I think it was a pretty decent midweek. I think there was quite a few really decent games. Obviously, on the Wednesday, you had the two high-scoring games with Spurs and the Villa game. Wasn't a big fan of the Thursday games. I would have liked it if they probably moved one of the games from Tuesday or Wednesday over to Thursday. But all in all, pretty decent, Rod.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all right, and let's have a look now at Game Week 25. Any players to really look out for in it. So it starts on Saturday, Rod. So tomorrow, early kickoff, Manchester United against Southampton. I'm really not confident for this one, Rod. We are at home, which I think gives us a bit of an edge because I think Southampton away is a real difficult fixture.
Southampton, they've managed to gruel out some results. I mean, I think, against City, I think they've got 2 draws. So it clearly shows they're more than up for the fight, and obviously beating Spurs midweek boosts their confidence compared to a beaten down United. I think it's a decent early kickoff game. Probably won't be able to watch it. I'll be in Leeds, but to be honest, mate, I see it being a draw. I'm going to go for 2-2.
Yeah, I can't see United getting a win either. I think as long as we keep making these consistent mistakes. I'd like to see Maguire drop for this game. I wouldn't mind seeing Rashford dropped either. I thought one key note there from that Burnley game, Rod, it looks like Sanchez coming into form. I thought he was brilliant the other night. But yeah, I'm going to go 1-1. I think Broja gets a goal from. So yeah, 1-0. Brentford against Crystal Palace. I would go Crystal Palace here.
Yeah, I think Palace, they've been decent, bar that weird Zaha penalty. They have impressed me. They've got some good players. Elise especially has really excited me when I've watched him. I'm going to go for a Palace 2-0 win. I think Brentford are going to struggle to score.
Yeah, I'll probably go Palace as well, but with it being Brentford at home, I think they've been okay at home this season. Fucking hell, it's gone loud outside my house. I don't know what's going on. I hope it's not picking up on the mic, but if it is, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I'll go with Crystal Palace 2-1. I think you're looking at someone like Edouard maybe getting on the score sheet here. Everton Leeds, I think this is a really interesting game, Rod, because I think I was talking to you off air and I said for me, I think when you look at the big teams, they tend to score quite a lot against Leeds. It's whether you concede that many against them, which really shows if you're a good team or not, because they are there for the taking, but you've got to be strong defensively as well. And I thought that's where Villa probably are just off at the moment, is defensively. I think Mings probably isn't the best player for you. But Everton going up against them, Rod, I think it's going to be interesting. I think there's goals in this one. I think it could be something like a 3-3 draw or something like that again.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, it's annoying because I fucking hate Leeds, to be completely honest with you.
Where are you going this weekend?
I'm going to Leeds. I love Leeds the place, but I hate Leeds the football team and everything surrounding them. Luckily they're away, so I won't be seeing too many Leeds fans in town. I'm gonna go with a Leeds. I think it's gonna be an interesting game. I'm gonna go 2-1 Leeds, and hopefully as a neutral, it'll be a good game to watch.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what Everton offer offensively in this game. I think there's definitely going to be goals coming the other way. I think Leeds might be able to get a couple. It's whether or not you see Everton to maybe get a bit more comfortable under Lampard. And I think I do. I'm going to go 2-2 in this game. Watford against Brighton, Rod. What do you think, man?
I think, for me, one of the lads coming to Leeds is a Brighton fan, so hopefully I'll be able to give him a bit of fucking stick. But for me, this is a game I'm totally interested in. I think it's going to be probably the most boring game of the weekend. Brighton, defensively solid, but they do struggle to score. I think Watford, defensively not solid and also struggle to score. I'm going to go with a 2-0 Brighton win. Yeah.
Okay. I think at home Watford might be a bit more defensively solid. I think Brighton do create chances, but I think they struggle to score at times. I'm going to go with a 0-0 draw here, Rod. I think Hodgson gets it done again, and I think I've got both goalkeepers. It's whether I fancy going Ben Foster or Sanchez. I think it's a real hard pick, to be honest, because I'm not. I think I favour Watford to score in this game on the break or something like that. I might go with Foster. Norwich against Man City, Rod. I think this is going to be an absolute dicking. What do you think?
You see, I don't think it would be a dicking. I think Norwich have improved as of late. I think it will be a vintage City performance. So I think it will be just 2-0 and they'll score the second and then keep the ball for however long's left.
So are you telling me not to watch this game?
Oh, absolutely not. But as it's a 5:30 on a Saturday, why not, eh?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I agree with you. I think City will win. I'm going to go 3-0. I just think Norwich. I remember the game when we went down Cardiff and Norwich actually. It was this fixture, but it was like a few years ago. And Norwich battered City, I think it was. I think Pookie scored and stuff like that. That was a great game. I don't see it being like that again. I think City will just dominate the game. I think it'll be hard for Norwich to get on the ball and create many chances. Moves us to Sunday anyway, Rod. Burnley against Liverpool. Like you said, this is a bit of a tricky game for Liverpool. They have struggled in the past.
Yeah, Burnley seems to be Liverpool's bogey team, and I think if Liverpool don't get a result here, I think we touched on the title race earlier. I think it's almost over. But if Burnley do manage to get a result, huge win for them. But I expect Liverpool dominance. Obviously, Burnley are going to play the low block like we know they always do, and look for a goal on the counter or on a set piece. But
Sorry,
I'm going to go Liverpool 3-1.
Yeah, it's 3-1 Liverpool you went with, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I disagree. I think they are known for the low block, Burnley, but I think over the past few weeks you can definitely see a bit of press in them, and I thought their press was pretty decent against United. I think if they do it against Liverpool, though, they will get schooled. I think they struggle with the press a bit just because they're playing that 4-4-2, and for the midfielders, it's hard for them to pick up a player, and it only takes a bit of brave and good play for Liverpool, and they'll be through on goal. I think it's going to be quite a tight game going into maybe 70 minutes in. It might just be like 1-0 Liverpool, but I think as Burnley look to try and get a goal, it'll probably open up the game for Liverpool, and I think I could see them winning this one like 3-0. Newcastle versus Villa, Rod. I think you're probably going to be quite anxious about this one.
I'm very, very nervous. We do seem to struggle always at St James's Park, and Newcastle last couple games they've really shown they've got the fight in them. They've played some nice football and they tore Everton a new one midweek. So yeah, they have surprised me the last few weeks. Obviously they've got the new acquisitions. Luckily Matt Targett cannot play. Trippier they're going to make a late call on him as he did come off injured. But I'm not looking forward to this game, to be completely honest with you. I'll be watching it on the train home, but it is a game that worries me. So as Newcastle are at home, I'm going to go 2-1 Newcastle. I'm not looking forward to this game one bit.
Yeah, I think it's fair for you, but you got to be pretty comfortable as you're already pretty much safe this season. I think it's been a mediocre season for Villa, especially. I think before the season started, you would have been looking to improve a bit more on where you came last year. I don't think that's happened, but I think on the field of play, I think you've seen vast improvements, and I think you can be very excited for next season, especially with a couple of new acquisitions. I think this game is a bit of an interesting one. I do fancy you in it, though. I think you might win this one 2-1, Rod. I think it's going to be interesting to see how your defence lines up. Obviously, Konsa's going to be suspended, so is it going to be just House going in alongside Mings, which is a partnership I really dislike. But it'd be interesting to see anyway, Rod. Callum
Chambers, I think, will come in.
Oh yeah, Callum Chambers. It'd be interesting anyway. I'll go 3-1 Villa. Spurs against Wolves, though, Rod. I think this game is going to be a really decisive one for Spurs. I think if they win this, they're right in the top 4 race. But I think if with a loss, I think it'd just be very draining on them. I think they're more than capable of beating Wolves. I just don't think they will. I think that defensively, Wolves are too strong for them. I think the goal that Arsenal scored was just a very scrappy goal, which really shouldn't have been conceded. I just don't know if they got enough to beat Spurs on the other end either, Rod. So I'm going to go 0-0.
Yeah, I'm got a similar prediction. I think Wolves defensively is solid. I'm going to go 1-1. I think once again, I think it's be quite a boring game.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, Rod. Leicester against West Ham. I think this game is quite an open one. I think West Ham are the strongest team this season. They've kind of taken that place of a Leicester, where Leicester used to be that team in and amongst the top four who used to be quite a dominant team, and they've just really fell off this season. And I think it's been an unfortunate season for them with injuries, and I know Rodgers getting a lot of stick, but I can understand how he struggled so much. I think if you look at the game the other night, they're playing Ndidi and Amati at centre back. Neither of them are really centre backs in their own right. I think if Brendan Rodgers gets the chance to stay with them, I'd be interested to see what they can do next season. I think you might see someone like an Ndidi potentially move on, but I think what you might see is Johnny Evans move on as well, and then maybe bring in a stronger centre back. And with Wesley Fofana coming back, who I was very high on last season, I'd be interested to see that, Rod. But I think West Ham are going to take this one. But I think Maddison's going to also get on the score sheet. I'm going to go 3-1 West Ham, Rod.
Yeah, I like that prediction. Leicester been a weird team this year. Obviously, they've lost players to injury at different points throughout the season. They haven't really had a solid defence. They've been chopping and changing due to injuries, form, etc. And for me, West Ham, they played Watford midweek, and I thought West Ham were very lucky to come away with a 1-0 win. I thought probably should have been 0-0. They didn't excite me at all. They looked a bit dodgy. But I can see him beating Leicester. Leicester this year, for me, have just been poor. I'm going to go with a 2-1 West Ham win. And yeah, I'm going to go Maddison on the score sheet for Leicester.
Yeah, I think Bowen on the score sheet as well for West Ham, which is probably a gimme this weekend. So game week finishes off with United, who have got a double, same as Brighton. See, this is where I'm confused now, because I think Watford might score against Brighton. But do I go with Sanchez in goal because he's got a double game week? Interesting. So United against Brighton, Rod. I'm not confident in this game either. I'm a bit... I don't know. What do you think, anyway?
This is a bit of a difficult game to predict. Brighton have impressed me when they've gone against the big teams with big reputations. They always do put on quite a good performance. I think this game kind of lies on what happens in the game tomorrow against Southampton. I think if you come away with a win tomorrow, I think you'll definitely win Tuesday. But if you lose tomorrow, I can see you losing again. So just making an isolated prediction, I'm going to go with a Brighton
win. Go on, do it.
I'll go with a Brighton 2-1 win.
Okay, you also went with the draw for tomorrow with United Southampton. So I don't think that'd be a surprising result off the back of that if that was to happen. It's a late kickoff. I'm going to go with United 2-1 just because I think we'll draw tomorrow probably and probably pick up a win against Brighton. Just seems the way it goes at the moment. Anyway, Rod, thank you for joining me. Before we leave, is there anyone who you think is a must-have now for this upcoming week?
I think I'm going to be making the move from Douglas Luiz to Jacob Ramsey, and I'm going to be playing Ramsey instead of Reguilon, he's really impressed me. But for me, if I've got to give you three players, I'm going to give you Coutinho, Ramsey, and Andrew Robertson.
Two Villa players. You're going to lose 2-1, you said, against Newcastle. Okay.
We 3-3 against Leeds, and Coutinho and Ramsey both hold, so God knows what could happen.
Okay, yeah, I agree with the Ramsey shout. I think his value, I picked him up at 4.5, I think, but I think he's going for 4.7, you said now, still really cheap, and I think you need someone like that as a cheap option in the midfield. Just allows you to, bring in some more expensive players. I'd also say, man, I really think Broyer's going to score against United, so I'd go with him. And my last one would be, let's go with Ronaldo. He's got a double game week coming up. I think he's been in pretty poor form recently. I think it'd be interesting. Player of his quality. I think in his career, he hasn't had that many times where he's gone on a drought like he is at the moment. So I think he's just, he's going to score, isn't he? So I'll go Ronaldo, Boya, and Jacob Ramsey. Anyway, Rod, thank you for joining me.
Always a pleasure, mate.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, I feel like it's a bit of a shorter video from us. It might be still as long. We try and make them a bit shorter, but we end up going for like an hour. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please like. If you any suggestions for us to improve it in any way, just let us know in the comments down below. Please subscribe, and until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.